Silence and Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mrs. Bream.
Here.
Mr. Francis. Mr. Hoff. Here. Mr. Hoover.
Yep.
Irwin Adams.
Here.
Mr. Johnston. Mr. Cruz.
Here.
Dr. Malloy.
Here.
Thank you. We did have an executive session this evening at 6 p.m. for reasons of personnel. Moving on, hearing from citizens. Okay, if you want to step up to the mic, sir, and state your name and where you're from, and we would appreciate it if you could just take 5 minutes.
Okay. My name is Scott Frank. I live here in Altoona. I have 2 daughters at Altoona Area High School. One is a senior and one is a freshman. If you would have asked me 12 months ago, both my daughters had bright futures. My daughter was a junior, honors classes, taking AP classes, cheerleader, very well thought of person. And my daughter, who was an 8th grader, was also in honors classes. And the entire time she'd been in school, had 1 grade below a 90 the whole time she'd been in school. Both of them looking forward to the future. My daughter already had her dress for the prom, looking forward to the school year, looking forward to her senior year, looking forward to the next year, my daughters being in the high school together, looking forward. Fast forward to this year. My oldest daughter, grades fell off the table. She's passing, but just barely, just doing the bare minimum. Not interested in anything. Very upset with how the school years went. Can't even get her to talk about college. A girl that was in honors and AP classes, which is she's much better off than my daughter, who's now a freshman. Her grades fell off completely. All I can do is to keep her above grade. I had to take a week off work to help her finish her classes before the end of the second marking period because she's failing all of her classes but 2. I got to take her to get help. I'm getting her treatment by therapy, doing anything I possibly can to try to get these kids through school. My question is, I want to know what happened, what's going on, how did this happen, and what's being done to help these kids. I've talked to a lot of people tell me I'm not alone, that there's hundreds of kids who won't come back to school. Because my youngest daughter would not even come back to school when they offered in school. Now I can tell you a little bit about what I found out. Because when my daughter was off, when I took a week off, and I contacted her teachers were failing, and I contacted them all to see if I could get some help, if they would take their classwork after the fact so she could pass. And they all said, oh yeah, the same thing, Scott, I'll do anything I can do to help you. And they talked to me and said, this is awful, this is horrible, I can understand your situation. And some of the things that these teachers told me. One teacher told me that although my daughter was getting a 60, she congratulated her on actually attending class, because she told me only 25% of her students logged on to class every day. 75% of her students didn't attend class every day. Another teacher told me that she only instructs for 10 minutes every day and gives the kids the rest of the time free because they spend too much time on the computer and that she can't keep their attention and they need time to get this stuff done. And I asked her, well, what did your class look like pre-COVID? And she said, well, I would have taught all 45 minutes every day and gave kids classwork. So in this class, the teacher was only teaching 40 minutes a week, where previously she would have taught 3 hours and 45 minutes a week. A reduction, she's only teaching 20% of the material class instruction that she normally gets. Another teacher, when asked about the class interaction, she says she routinely has conversations with herself. She starts teaching a class, and she's talking to a student, and she thinks she's having a conversation with a student. The student checks out. She's having a conversation. She asks for the response. There's nobody there. There's no interaction. I witnessed the classes. I stayed at home and watched my daughter, and I made her get out of bed. Normally, she probably didn't get even out of her bed to take class till third period. They're sitting and laying in bed. This is what school looked like for the last year. Okay. Then I asked the teachers, when I just had the most recent parent-teachers conferences, what was going on? I asked them, what's happening? And I asked all the teachers, and I tried to get on as many as I could. I had 2 kids, so I probably had 14 on the same day. I said, hey, what was going on? I asked them, one question I asked every one of them. I said, hey, how many times did a member of the school administration or the school board contact you and talk to you and say, hey, tell me about how this is going. How are the kids handling this? How are you handling this? How was your interaction? What do the grades look like? What's happening? How many times are you having conversations like this all the time so they can figure out what's actually happening? And to every last teacher, not one of them told me they had a conversation with one member of the school board, one member of the administration. They told me recently, I think they might have done 2 surveys recently about how the school year was going. One teacher who had 30 years, he's a very advanced, very respected math teacher, told me nobody had talked to him. One of the most respected teachers in the school, he had not talked to anybody. How do they even know what's going on? So I said, okay, maybe that's a problem. They don't even know what's going on. But my main concern here is what's going to be done to help these kids. My kids need help. I have a daughter that won't even return to school. And when when the first day that they had that the kids could return to school, when my daughter didn't return to school, I literally spent an entire morning on the phone, probably about 4 or 5 hours. I called every number, the Altoona School District you can leave a message on, and I called everybody that I possibly could get. I spent about an hour and a half on the phone, and I talked to 3 different people that day. And how I treated 2 of those people probably wasn't very nice, and I actually called back and apologized. But I talked to 3 people, and I let them know some of my problems. They knew exactly what I was feeling. But one of the things that I indicated in great detail was that I needed tutor help for my daughter, who was in 8th grade who was a freshman taking Algebra 2. And when I talked about that, it sounded like I was talking about strings. You think somebody who's a guidance counselor or an assistant principal, if you ask for help, would know exactly where to go immediately, what to do. They couldn't do that. They said they would get back to me. I mean, you would think it'd be like a kindergartner or a first grader. If you ask them how to say ABCs, they just spout it off. If you're talking about the guidance counselor and assistant principal, and I need help in math, where do I go? And they can't tell me. The next day I got an email that I can show you. I have right here from one of the assistant principals that pretty much says, I'll read it verbatim to you. It says, Mr. Frank, I'm going to let you know that I heard back from the mathematics department chairperson, and she is not aware of anyone willing to do face-to-face tutoring at this time. I'm sorry we're unable to help you with this issue. Not only will they not help, they can't even recommend somebody that will help. Now, I wasn't very happy with that. As you can imagine, I have a daughter who's not doing very well. I worried that just a year ago, she was awesome. So I stayed on it. I kept calling. That's why I'm here today. I called to see if I could get in front of you, if I could get in front of the superintendent, anybody that I could possibly talk to. And it took me about a week, but I actually did have a meeting with the assistant superintendent and the principal. And I showed him this email. I literally showed him this email, and I said, oh no, you can get help. There's other places. The National Honor Society kids, we'll get you help. We'll get you help. And I talked, believe me, I was there for an hour and a half that day. No, I was actually there for 2.5 hours. I waited for about an hour, then I had a meeting so they wouldn't listen to me anymore. And the next day I got this email. Dear Mr. Frank, Mrs. Beth Hoover is available for tutor honors algebra 2. Gave me her email and her phone number. And she tells me that she only charges $35 an hour. If you want help in math at Altoona School District, you can get it. And it's at the low price of $35 an hour. That's what kind of help that you can get right now for your students if they're struggling. Even though it's the worst struggling that we've ever had in the school district ever, charges you money to get help at the Altoona School District. Now you can imagine that's not the only problem. My daughter won't even go to school. And everybody that I talk to knows this in triplicate. I mean, I sat down with them for an hour. There's no doubt about it. The principal just walked up to me, talked to me, asked me how I'm doing with it. And my daughter didn't attend school today. And I was telling anybody, I'm looking for help from anybody. I'm calling anybody, talking to anybody that I can possibly get help. I talked to my neighbor who happens to work in the Everett School District. And he said, Scott, hey, do you know they have a whole department of special education? They have psychologists on staff that you can call and help. You got to contact them. I said, okay. So then I started trying to contact them. It took me about a week. I got in contact them, had an appointment this past Wednesday. They're supposed to get back to me within a week. I'm waiting to hear back from them. Preliminary stages that they're going to work with me and my daughter. But my question is, how can I have a meeting with the assistant superintendent, 2 assistant principals, the principal and the guidance counselor, talk to all of them for at least an hour? There's help available. You have psychologists on staff, and nobody even mentions it to me? What do you got to do to get help in this school district? Obviously, to get tutor help costs $35. To get this other help, maybe they're going to charge me. I don't know. I'm struggling. And I'm told that there's lots of kids struggling. And when I watch YouTube meetings of prior meetings, and it's like it's the elephant in the room. All these kids that are struggling, there's kids that haven't learned anything in the last year, and we're going to talk, you look at your agenda, and you look at all these other things, there's nothing in here, not one thing about what's going on with these kids who are struggling or having problems. And this is still going on today. Later this week, you've canceled school again and to have in-person instruction. These kids need in-person instruction more than ever before. And I understand there's not a person in the area that doesn't want the teachers to get their vaccines. Extend the school day another year. Have them do it on Saturday, Sunday. You want to have, these kids need in-person instruction and they need it. And what we need to do is take that page of the playbook where we're going to tell kids that we're going to stick them on the computer, do that, rip it out of the playbook, throw it away, and never use it again.
Sir, I
I'm done.
100% agree with you. The kids need back in school, and I hope your daughters will get back in school. And I don't know if Mr. Hatch or Dr. Priatel want to speak to it, because I know the board has discussed with the administrators what it's going to be like when these kids come back and they come back for the first time today for full in-person learning.
Sure, I'd be happy to address it because I spoke with Mr. Frank for that over 2 hours a few weeks ago. Tried to offer him assistance along with his daughter. We met with her individually as well, gave her a tour of the school. We understand your frustration as we voiced that day and are very excited about having our students back in school. Today, if you see on the agenda, one of the things that the board is up for approval tonight is academic support program, where 3 teachers will be available at the high school every day after school, 4 days a week in all content areas to provide academic support for any student that would like that free of charge. We have designated days for math, ELA, science, social studies, et cetera, and we'll also have special education support on those days. In addition to that, we are looking at expanded summer school that will be free of charge to students for credit recovery and or academic help and support throughout the summer, both face-to-face and being available virtually for students that are still reluctant about coming into school. Our plan is obviously have a plan set up for all of our students to return that want to return in the fall, but we also have our virtual option through our Cyber Academy for all of our students K-12. We share in your frustration, and we do understand and recognize that a lot of our students have struggled and continue to struggle. The biggest advice that we've given, we've sent out information from Mr. Neely's office, encouraging our students to come back. We offered tours for any virtual student last week, for any student that would like to come in on Friday when the students were off for parent-teacher conferences to get them acclimated to the program, to the new building, et cetera, that have not been in yet. So we are looking for any way possible. In fact, I think if you recall the day that we met, I asked your daughter point blank, how can we help you? What can we do that we're not doing now? What can we do differently? What do you need? And we have continued to do that with all of our students, and we'll continue to do that for mental health and academic support. So although I do understand your frustration, I also like to think that we are trying to take every avenue possible to help support students, work with our staff members to give kids every opportunity possible. And I'll voice it again, between now and the end of this school year to experience success in their classes, to make up for lost time if they've experienced that, and to get them back on track. Are we going to be able to do that in three months? Probably not completely, but we're going to make every effort to do so. And what we can't get accomplished by the end of May will continue through the summer and continue through next school year. That is our commitment to our students and to our families in the school district. And you have our word on that. So once again, I do understand your frustration. We talked to your daughter that day. I would love it, an opportunity to get her back in school and provide her with whatever supports are necessary, whether that be an evaluation for additional services, but I can assure you that we're providing free of charge any academic support, mental health support. We've put things out for our parents to help them support their children at home, and will continue to do so. We're looking for every avenue and suggestion possible, so that if you have ideas as to what we can do differently, I'm once again all ears. I think I gave you a half a day, a couple of weeks ago, and I'd be more than happy to do that again.
That I will arrange another appointment, because I got it. My first thing is, whatever happened this past year should never, ever happen again. It should never happen again. What happened with these kids this year, we should have learned from our lesson from the last marking period, when we literally gave these kids a blueprint on how to fail. We said, here, we're going to give you pass, fail. We're going to just slide on. Last week, turn in your assignments. This is what you're going to do. That was a blueprint. Now we're talking, and I understand everything you're telling me, but I can also tell you from the parent-teacher conferences that I had just the Friday, you have teachers in your school district now that are offering buy one, get one free. You do an assignment, you get one free. You've got so many pass through assignments, and we're going to do anything we can to pass you, regardless whether you learn this or not. You got 10 pass through assignments, you do 5, you're good to go. Whether they learned anything or not doesn't mean nearly as much. My oldest daughter is a senior in high school. Now, the big thing was, hey, these kids that are kindergartners, they can't learn online because they don't know this stuff. Well, my daughter's a senior. She's going to go to college with 2.5 years of school. She did not have college. She had a public speaking class second half last year, never gave a speech in front of anybody. Never gave a speech in front of anybody. She's taking classes now. She's going to college. She's not going to be this summer making up any of this stuff. She's going to go to college with 2.5 years from Altoona High School. That is not fair to anybody. And the fact that they're even considering passing these kids and giving another year is ridiculous. It makes it seem like it's a warehouse. We got new kids coming in. We got kindergartners coming in. Kindergartners go to first grade coming on. Whether they learned anything, or not, they should be taking standardized tests. Right now, they'll see what they know, what they don't know. That would be the priority to find out. When they go to college, there's other kids who went to school. My daughter's going to be competing against other kids for jobs, education, everything. And she did not have her public speaking class. Her stats class, she doesn't know her stuff. This stuff, this stuff sounds great, but it's like a lot of other things. Until you see it in action, I want to see it in action and how it actually looked in person. Just recently on your school board page, it had a thing if kids are struggling. Here, we're going to have a seminar from 4 to 5. I would bet there wasn't a whole lot of people on it. I don't think there was too many people calling off work or not coming in to go to a seminar at 4 to 5. That only took you about 9-10 months to come up with that. You didn't figure that one out maybe April last year, May of last year, beginning of this year, in the summertime when everything was canceled and the kids, everything's canceled. I mean, when are we going to come up with the next one? Sometime in 2025? It's a lot. It's way too little, way too late. I would think when somebody told me that only 25% of my students attend class, bells and whistles would come, the police would come, it would be like an emergency. This whole meeting today would be nothing about what can we do to help these kids. What can we do to get these kids back to where they're supposed to be? It should be an immediate, just everything. I can't imagine that we'd be even talking about any other business. But I would test these kids and I would know exactly where they are, and not just for my kids, for everybody. And the number one thing I'd say is take this page anytime you want to, that I want to do this remote learning thing, take it out of your playbook, rip it up, throw it away, and never bring it back again, because it was an utter failure across the board and should never be used again. And we're using it again later this week.
Sir, this is not the year that anybody wanted for your child or anyone else's child. I feel for you. I really do.
I'll guarantee everybody had their best intentions. There's nothing that I believe everybody here has their best intentions in heart. I believe everybody does. But Mr. Hatch had children at Hollidaysburg School District right next to ours. Well, my kid's not going to school every day, and his kid's going to school every day. We should be doing backflips, doing anything we possibly can to get those. We should have been the first school to have them back, not the last. We should have been the first school to have them, not the last.
I agree with you, but if you could make some time and sit down with Mr. Hatch, I'm sure, and please try to get your daughters back in school. That's where they belong right now, and we will do everything to help them with that.
Thank you for letting me go way over 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Any other citizens?
Special presentation.
Okay, no other citizens. Special presentation, national merit finalists.
Good evening. If I could have Mrs. Bream and Dr. Priatel join me in the presentations this evening, I'd appreciate it. This evening, we want to recognize our 2021 National Merit Finalist Scholarship awardees. That is Miss Elise Abbott and Mr. Alex Thaler. And I'm going to ask the two of you to come up front and center. The National Merit Scholarship Program was initiated in 1955. In each annual program, about 50,000 academically talented high school students are honored, but only some 16,000 of them are named as a semifinalist. Students who qualify as a semifinalist on their performance on the preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, which many of us know as the PSATs, are the only program participants who have the opportunity to advance to the finalist level and compete for national merit scholarships. Approximately 15,000 semifinalists advanced to the finalist round, and about 7,600 of those outstanding finalists will be chosen as merit scholarship winners this year. This year, we are honored to announce we have two students who have qualified as a finalist this year in the program, and that's Elise Abbott and Alex Thaler. Scholarship announcements will be made sometime this month, and we hope both Elise and Alex will be selected as a merit scholarship winner. So congratulations to you both, and best of luck in the completion of your senior year. Yeah, following the next presentation, we'll do all our photos right back here. So if the two of you want to. The final presentation we have this evening is recognizing Miss Lindsay Bumbarger. I always say that wrong. I'm sorry. You want to stand up? Yeah. Each year, the Blair County Chamber recognizes the Judith A. Rossi Educator of the Year, sponsored by the Del Grosso family of companies. The criteria for this award includes nominees must be directly affiliated with the Blair County educational community. Nominees should have made some positive impact on students, schools, or educational systems that also benefit the local business community. And nominees should be people who are genuinely reluctant to receive acclaim for their efforts and involvements. This year's Judith A. Rossi Educator of the Year Award selection was Lindsay Bumbarger. Lindsay has worked at the Altoona Junior High School, Learning Express, and Baker Elementary throughout her time at Altoona Area School District. She is a trailblazer and one who sets high expectation for herself and her students. She is humble, kind, and looks for no recognition. This is killing her right now. Lindsay cares for her children, school community, and our district as a whole. It is with honor that we recognize Lindsay as an employee of Altoona Area School District and the honored recipient of the Chamber's Judy A. Rossi Educator of the Year Award. Congratulations. Lindsay had a couple words she wanted to say, if that's okay.
And I have to write them down because I'm very scatterbrained. When the chamber awarded this, it was a surprise, and then they immediately asked me to say a few words. So I don't know what I said, but I do have some coherent thoughts, and I would like to share them if you'll just give me a few seconds. In some ways, it was actually very uncomfortable for me to receive this award because during my time with Altoona, I certainly have not worked with every teacher in the school district, but I have worked alongside and learned from many, many amazing educators in 3 different buildings across 5 grade levels. I've also been able to collaborate with a lot of teachers through professional development, training, and across grade level teams. So those teachers, I think I can safely say that there are many teachers just like me across this district. Teachers who are and always have been overwhelmingly committed to doing the best we possibly can for our kids, showing up for them every day. And there's no way I would consider myself any more deserving of this award than those others that I've worked with, but I am very, very proud every day to be an Altoona area school district teacher. I want to thank you to the board and the administrators for your dedication to our community. I know that this year has been one unlike any other for all of us. And with the health and safety of an entire student body and staff to consider, along with the social and emotional needs of our students, the decisions that you had to make were definitely not easy ones. And it probably felt like no matter what you did, it was the wrong one. But I do want to thank you for all the time, thought, and effort that you have all put in to trying to do the right thing. Please continue to support and invest in us, your staff, so that we have the resources to continue to invest and support our kids. Come visit our classes, please. Come see what's going on at the ground floor. Keep your finger on the pulse of the school district, our classrooms. And to the Altoona School District families, thank you for all you have done to support our kids and their teachers as we navigated this school year, all these uncharted waters. I know I was not at my best behind a computer screen or at my most effective, but I know that the families did help fill those gaps for me. Friday marked a year since we shut down for 2 weeks, but today was a good day for me. We had all my kids back. They were happy to be together, and things felt a little closer to normal than they have in a long time. So please stay positive. I know that I am going to do the best that I can to enjoy this school year, and thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay, moving right along, our next presentation is Fensler Hutchison Architecture. If they could come to the mic, please.
Good evening. Do you have our picture that we sent along? Are you going to put that on the screen? There you go. Okay, I'm Adam Fernsler with Fernsler Hutchinson Architecture. We were in front of you folks in the executive board meeting a couple weeks ago, at which time you asked us to do a plan that would be similar to what we're thinking about. So we went back and we looked at the site, looked at the possible sizes of the type of buildings that we were talking about. I know the last time we talked, we talked about possibly a mix of a duplex and a single family property or house structure. So we set up a quick sketch, some color on it, to show you roughly, again, it's rough. Right now, we don't know the actual mix between a duplex and a single family that we might use. But that plan, I believe, is 27 units I know you had asked us kind of, how many units are you talking about? What's the size, kind of what's the shape? I think this is a fairly good representation of what we're thinking. I didn't know if anybody had any questions or.
Any questions?
Are these units are they going to be houses for sale, or are they going to be rental units?
We're thinking of them as rental units at this point. Now, the layout you're looking at, though, could only be done as a condominium, okay? If you don't have condominiums, you have lot lines and setback lines, you would be left with almost nothing, okay? So my point is only this: the plan is to rent them. We could sell a couple off at some point if we wanted to, but that's certainly not the plan.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, charter school funding reform. Can we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Discussion?
Again, this is part of our push as a district and as school districts across the state for cyber charter reform in order to level the cost impact and to make it more fair for the districts that are footing an unfair burden because of the exceedingly high cyber charges that we experience across the state.
And our elected officials are for this action?
Yes.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I need a motion for regular school board minutes from the February 16th meeting.
So moved.
There's three of them. The Cal meeting from March 1st and the special board meeting of March the 4th. Can I have a motion and a second?
I will move that.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to change orders. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Okay, any questions, conversation?
Oh, yes, Mr. President. I know you got to get the school built. A lot of these change orders we've questioned them. We got some answers for them. We just got one on the hand railing out here. We looked at it and it's got to be done. It's too bad it wasn't done before, but it has to be done now because of code. But there's another one we got to eat, but we got to do what we got to do to get school going.
I have a question. It's not on the change order list, but I'm getting a lot of calls on the lights being on. And I thought we were bringing someone in from Texas to look at that because the sensors weren't working.
WattStopper is a company that designs the sensors and the on-offs on the lights. The lights have been reset and structured that they should shut off 20 minutes after a person leaves an area, meaning that if a custodian is on duty, the lights in any area of that building where that custodian is will be on for at least 20 minutes. So there are times when you'll see the lights in the hallways and they're on, and it's because we have someone in the building working who's activating those lights as they move through the building. So, and they are coming back to do another adjustment because they fix one adjustment and other issues come up. So they're still working on tweaking that. But the whole purpose there is hopefully before too long, we're going to have it to the point where they're reasonable and it's not like we're being lit up all the time.
Do we have people working Sunday evening?
we have someone in this building every shift all weekend long.
Because it seems like the lights are just on constantly, like they never go out.
First and second shift, is that right, Andy? Or is it, we have somebody in the evening, we have somebody night shift too.
Also, just to add to what Dr. P was saying, the folks from Watt Stopper are here all this week. I had a conversation with our electrical contractor this morning, trying to fix some design things that they didn't foresee. Probably going to add some, it's all a networking issue, so they're working on it all this week. He's going to be here working late hours. He might even be here now.
Okay.
And I will say, I went by Friday night, Saturday night, and the lights in the building were mostly off when I went by those nights. I don't know if anything changed, but they were off over the weekend.
Was that real late at night or?
That was not between 9 and 10 p.m. Everything was out with the exception of a couple little side hallways.
Okay, good. Okay, back to the motion. All in favor?
But I have a question or just a confirmation. It's change order 372. Those are the same sidewalks we talked about at the at the committee hall. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to confirm.
Hey, I have something to say. I don't always agree with the change orders, obviously, or why we have the change orders. But I do hope that if I'm not on the board at that time, because I'm done in November, that we do fight to get some of the taxpayers' money back.
I agree with you. I think we're making lists to that effect. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Finance. List of payments, general fund, cafeteria fund, student activities, financial reports, credit card, budget transfers, treasurer's report, tax collection report, rescission of honorarium payment, UDNI quote 5-year support contract, Altoona Area Public Library donation, Central Blair Rec and Park Commission contribution. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any comments, questions?
What did we come up with what we spend for the library on utilities and other things?
Susan, did we get that finalized number?
The report I completed this year for expenses paid in the 1920 school year was just over 119,000. That was included an estimate of the utility bills based on an average of the last 6 years, because normally we can regulate that and give an accurate figure, but because of the tear down of the central heat plant, we didn't have the specific meters to say the exact amounts that went to support the library. So I estimated it, and that's where we came.
Does that include the salary and the benefits?
That does not. That's beyond our $200,000 contribution.
So we have 200,000 plus the utilities of 119,000 plus 5 people on the payroll.
Now, they reimburse us for the $200,000 is made up of a payroll reimbursement. So we process their payroll and we pay the first $200,000 of their payroll. Anything above that, they reimburse us.
So it's the utilities plus the 200,000 honorarium.
Any other questions? I have a couple here. Barry Lingenfelder snow plowing. We're paying someone else to do our snow plowing. I thought we had our own plows and our own people to do that. Am I wrong?
Well, he's stepping the mic. We have a mix because there's just so much square footage of asphalt in the district. There are places that we plow and there are places that we pay people to plow. Go ahead, Doug.
Right. We have contractors come in, plow this lot, all the junior high lots, the lots behind the A building, and and Pleasant Valley lots. And that's just because that way we can start at 5 and get all the lots cleared, because oftentimes it's snowing right up perhaps to the beginning of school. So we can get everybody in, get them plowed, get them salted, and then get all the kids safely into the schools.
Okay, so we do contract people outside the district
Yes.
to do that.
And they only come if we have a certain amount of snow, then we bring them in. If it's just salting, they don't come in. I think it's everything more than an inch, because we have to plow an inch before we can salt. So.
If it's the weekend, do we do it all ourselves or no?
We rarely plow on the weekends. Sometimes we get into 3-day weekends. We've had a lot of President Day snows where we had to come in on Saturdays and Sundays. It sort of depends on that, Mr. Cruz. We try, oftentimes we wait until Monday morning to do it, just because if we clear it on Sunday, we have to come back and do a touch up on it Monday morning anyhow. So it kind of depends on how many inches we get.
Okay, thank you. I also have a question. AAHS band uniforms and junior high band uniforms. Are these the ones we approved last year? And we're just now getting them? Okay. In November rent for Butterick, we're renting something at Butterick?
We were renting the Butterick building over the summer for just furniture that was coming back into this building, and we still have things in Butterick for the ISB building.
Okay. And air purifier and sanitizers, that's quite a lot of money there. Is that going to come out of the COVID funds that we're receiving?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's for all the self-contained special ed classrooms. Approximately how many air purifiers UV purifiers did we put in? 36, Doug? And they've all been installed by our people, and those are cycling the air in all of our self-contained special ed classrooms.
Okay, I thought they probably were going to come out of COVID money. Okay. And I believe that's all the questions I had. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did I hear an opposed or not? No, okay. Motion passes. Moving on, policy. Altoona Area School District final reading, discipline of students with disabilities. First reading, organizational chart, extracurricular participation by home education students, and comparability services. Can I have a motion and a second? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a couple here on the top of this page. Behavior support, this is for a final reading. Confidentiality of special ed and student information, interscholastic athletics, and sudden cardiac arrest. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Education. Okay. Pima Region 3 Choral Festival. Revised Altoona Area Junior High School Summer School Proposal for 2021. Volunteer approval. Expulsion request. Change of 2021 Pearson View testing schedule. Federal programs and state grants. And that is it. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Personnel. We have two items here. 6th and 7th grade basketball league event workers, and then our list of personnel items. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed to E1 and E3.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, motion passes. Student services, send clear agreement. What is that agreement?
For outside placement.
Okay. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Frank.
Any questions?
Am I correct, Michelle? Hospitalization placement.
Okay. Any questions, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Business operations. STA bus drivers, capital reserve list of payments, capital projects list of payments, alternate area public library payment. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Can I clarify one thing just so everyone understands? The library payment, we have been asked by the insurance company to serve as a pass-through. They will be paying us and we will be paying the contractors for the repairs to the library. Just so the board understands that that is being covered through the insurance company. Thank you.
So it's going to go through our books, but it's at no cost to us. Okay, thank you. New business.
Sharon, I have a question on old business.
Okay.
It was just back on number 10. I missed it. So that would be old business at this point. Could someone tell me how much we pay the event workers per hour?
They're paid per event.
There's a scale. It depends on what they're functioning as. I can give you those numbers per, for example, ticket taker, scorekeeper, event worker, late coordinator, et cetera. I can forward the board that information tomorrow.
Plus they get paid their benefits on top of that, right? Their retirement benefits?
That's correct. It does go through scholarship payroll. And just to kind of quickly comment, I will tell you that I know that we had discussed this league last year. It has been very, very successful for its first year of operation. We've had at least 6 teams of both boys and girls that have had a very good league. We've had excellent participation in both of those leagues, and the income that has come in through those is going to more than cover the expenses that we would be laying out for things like event workers. We had all of our uniforms were sponsored. We didn't have any outlay for that. And even with limited numbers, we were only allowing 2 spectators per participant. We had excellent attendance at all those games and continue to do so. Both of those leagues will be wrapping up in the next week or 2. But they've been very successful. And I think moving forward, our high school coaches are very excited about what we're putting together with the elementary basketball programs.
Do you know what the lowest paid worker is off the top of your head?
I want to say it's like $15 a game for a scorekeeper and or a clock operator. It's uniform across all 3 leagues, the boys and girls 6th grade league and then the boys 7th grade league. It's the same amount, but I can get you those exact numbers tomorrow.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to new business. IU8 general operating budget for 21-22, home nursing services agreement, ASME side letter of agreement, and the Red Cross blood drive. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Committee reports. Any committee?
Wait, Sharon, can I ask something about new business first?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted, I know that we had discussed it in executive session, but some people had contacted me about the compensation plans that had been discussed at the last public meeting. and were expected to be on the agenda for tonight. So I was wondering if Dr. Priotel could just give an overview of why that was pulled.
Simply, we're working with all the unions and all the non-union compensation plan groups, and we want to put it all on together once we finalize the other pieces.
Anything else? Okay, then moving on to committee reports. Does anyone have any reports?
Yes, I did. The Technology Committee met February 25th, where we received an overview of how technology specifically has been used during the pandemic. I'd like to thank Mr. Cossiter and his staff for everything they've done, not just keeping the district afloat during the last year, but I think thriving in many ways. And Mr. Hatch and Mrs. Flegel were also there and talked about how the teaching faculty uses the technology. And there's some good things happening there. And I think the silver lining in the pandemic is, heaven forbid if we have to do it again, but we have a good foundation now upon which to stand. So thanks to the technology department and the central administration and all the teachers for how they've used those tools in the ways that they had to be used, and great job. And the full notes are on in board docs.
Okay, thank you. And
I'd like to announce also that we are setting up, we have an education committee meeting coming up on March 31st at 6 o'clock that we just set up. And our main focus is going to be on our academic programs in the high school and helping the students with their future.
any other committee chairs?
Yes, this Thursday at 5 o'clock, we're having a athletic committee meeting. It'll be held here, in here. And I'd just like to say congratulations to our girls gymnastics team, our girls basketball team for winning District 6. The boys, I listened to it on the radio, and what an exciting game. Great coaching, great rebounding, great scouting. So it was really good for the district to have that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
Hey, are we about to wrap up?
Shortly, yes.
All right, well, then I do have a couple questions, but it's not a committee report. So before you end, Sharon, could you come to me, please?
I can't hear him. Oh, okay. I would like to welcome the students back. They were back for their first full day of in-person learning, and hopefully that continues and never ends again. And welcome the teachers back and thank them for all of their hard work. And now superintendent's report.
I'd like to take a minute. First of all, I want to thank the teachers, I want to thank the administrators, I want to thank the parents and the students. This has been a harrowing year as we basically hit 365 days. We are putting together, and we will have supports for all students, for after-school support here from here to the end of the school year, to assist kids in closing gaps, basically getting kids caught up and getting them what they need. All services will be available. We have been working with our community partners for mental health services. We have services of our own. We have counselors, et cetera. All these things will be available. It will be of no charge, and it will be working from now to the end of school to get kids so that they have what they need to finish the year off strong. Also, we will be putting together and be announcing within the next few weeks a full summer school or summer extension program to help kids catch up and reestablish skills in math, science, social studies, language arts, and whatever they may need to make sure that they're ready to start the next fall and fully prepared to have all the content and all the education they need to be ready to move to the next level. This is going to be extensive. It's going to require a lot of work on the part of our teachers and our administrators. We hope to have that. First of all, we'll have the help that will be starting here soon. Is that starting?
That help's already available. Our high school students, it's every day after school. There's a schedule available with different content area teachers every day of the week, Monday through Thursday. And we've had that available and up and running at the junior high school. We also have physical fitness opportunities to help kids get strong in body, not just strong in mind, that are available at our fitness centers as well. And we have mental health programs that are available to all of our students through our student assistance program. So if you need anything, it's available. Reach out to any teacher, administrator, counselor, and we will point you in the right direction as to where to go and to receive what you need.
Are we doing anything for elementary?
Yes, we will be. We are working on putting together full summer programs for the elementary, a strong focus on K-1-2, because as we're looking at our scores, because we are testing the kids. We did do a beginning of the year, we did a mid-year. We just completed the mid-year testing. Third, fourth, and fifth have fared well. K-1-2 are still struggling. So we're looking at focusing on summer opportunities for those kids. It won't quote unquote be summer school, but it will be summer camps and summer academies and things that are hopefully interest the kids and also build them academically for the next school year. We're probably looking at 3 weeks of June and then 3 weeks in July. So we're putting that together at this point. I believe Haley's already started the committee meetings. We're putting that together now, and hopefully we'll have it up and ready for board approval by April.
And just so the board's aware, we are not postponing standardized testing. The state gave us the option of moving testing to the fall. We will be doing all of our standardized testing between the last week of April and the last week of May. So in terms of Mr. Frank getting a baseline as to where our students are, we do intend on getting that for math, ELA, and science and all of our grade levels in addition to our keystone testing. So we will not be postponing any of our state testing. We will be conducting all of that through the month of late April, early May.
So each student will have their testing, the ones that are going on to college or need to submit information to colleges, they're going to have all of that.
That's correct. The only test, with the one snow event a couple weeks back was the only PSAT date for this year. It was on a Tuesday. That unfortunately did get canceled, and it's not made up. That is not made up. However, we just gave the SAT last weekend. We will continue to offer those opportunities to students throughout. We also offer the ACT. AP exams are a little bit different this year. They're doing them at home. So we're working on a schedule where they'll be taking their AP exam basically unproctored, but they are through College Board. So we're working with them as well and scheduling tests for the beginning of May for that. So hopefully, kind of moving towards normal. I don't know if anyone saw today, the governor's further lifting of some restrictions in terms of outside and inside capacity, in addition to some other social restrictions have been lifted. So that bodes well for events like graduation and those kind of things. We're now at 50% outdoor capacity, which for us at the venues that we're utilizing, we pretty much are going to be able to have anyone that wants to attend will be able to attend. Good news.
Have a prom this year.
We already have a prom scheduled. It's for seniors. It's going to be held at Lakemont Park. It's going to be a senior celebration. Mr. Neely, you do the exact date. I know it's in early May. I'm going to make you pull out your phone. But no, we are in the process of planning. We've already secured the venue. We're in the process of working with our students. All of our seniors are invited along with the guest. The guest is required to be a student of the high school from grades 9 to 12. We are uniform with Blair County Schools in that for this year. We're no school district in Blair County is allowing visitors from our guests from outside of their own school district for this year. So we will revisit that practice moving forward. But I know our students are very excited. We also have a homecoming event scheduled. So even though we didn't have homecoming in the fall, we're going to have a homecoming event here coming up in April, in addition to our prom in May and our graduation in June. So we're excited to kind of once again return to some normalcy and celebrations that our students are accustomed to, along with getting all of our clubs and groups back. I know Ben's been working very hard with the drama club on the spring production. So we'll be getting information out to you about how to access the spring production, but they were probably in here tonight rehearsing. So moving forward, there's a lot of hustle and bustle going on in the building, students being in here all hours of the day. So that return to normalcy has begun. Very excited.
Well, that's fantastic. I had a young lady send me an email, and she told me that she had purchased 3 dresses for her senior year for different events that she needed them for. I said, we're going to do everything we can to make sure you can use those dresses. So she'll be happy to hear that.
I know the junior high school, like their social, they've planned that. Mrs. Flegel's working with our elementary administration on the 5th grade celebrations and recognitions. They got a whole week planned out at Mansion Park. So very exciting. There's a lot going on, but we're utilizing all of our venues and making sure that we maximize all of our opportunity to celebrate our students for this year. What do you got, Mr. Neely?
Just to get back to the enrichment for the summer program.
Yes, sir.
There's no charge elementary or secondary, correct?
There's no charge.
No, there is not.
There's no charge for any of our programs.
No, it's all covered through the COVID funding, and that will be at no charge.
The motivation there is we don't want anything to inhibit a student's ability to access the services that they need in terms of academic support, academic recovery. If there's any kind of credit recovery that they need, we're working specifically we're making calls to every student right now who is in danger of failing or failing a class, what can we do to help you get to the end and to be successful? I know our administrators and counselors are working with that. Mr. Neely's been communicating with our parents as well. We got a full court press on helping students recover from any loss that they may have experienced. And, I didn't just seeing the smiling faces today, many more. I said, when I walked through the junior high and high school, I was like, what is that noise? It's the cafeteria in the middle of the day, which we haven't been accustomed to. We haven't heard it. So to hear that noise level kind of increase, it put a smile on our faces. So we're very excited about, the opportunity for kids to get back. And like I said, return to normalcy in a safe way. And I think we're accomplishing that.
Will we be providing transportation for the enrichment programs?
We've discussed that. I know that they just re-upped on the federal monies for the meal program for the summer as well. So we'll be providing meals for the meal program throughout the summer, in addition to looking at, we don't want any inhibitors to any student participating that wants to participate. One of the things that we talked about is working on a partnership with Amtran to see if we can get them to a central location, because we may have some staffing limitations. So we're going to have to kind of consolidate to a couple different areas where we do have staffing available, but that'll require some creativeness with getting kids to those locations.
I just wanted to say thank you for looking at the enrichment for elementary. I think that's really important. And I'm happy to hear that things are returning to normal.
Okay. As you can tell, we have a lot of irons in the fire to get ready for summer to ensure our kids can close the gaps. One thing I wanted to cover real quick, vaccinations has been a major concern. I want to thank Bill Thompson Pharmacy. I want to thank Tyrone, Anna, the director up at Tyrone. I want to thank the people down at Nason. Just to give you statistics, we had 481 people sign up for the AIU, for the IU8 vaccine, both Saturday and it'll be Wednesday. We sent another 253 primarily to Thompson's Pharmacy, to Value Drug, and to Tyrone. So a total of 713 people been vaccinated via the district. We had another 226 vaccinated outside the district. Total staff vaccinated 939. The original vaccine request was 901. We had 42 decline. So we ended up with 859 people that we needed to get vaccinated. We have only 38 left on that list. To give you an idea, the district has been responsible for vaccinating 73% of the 939. The outside sources was 23%, and then a total remaining to be vaccinated of approximately 4%. I want to thank Haley Flegel. I want to thank Danielle Shawless. I want to thank Linda Lloyd. These ladies have been making phone calls and arranging and setting up and structuring and making sure all our T's are crossed and I's are dotted so that we can meet all the requirements. This has been a huge undertaking. And thanks to the community partners and the pharmacy world that have helped us get a big chunk of our staff taken care of, and obviously the state with the Johnson & Johnson. Finally, we're going to have everyone vaccinated and we're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, employee union response. Is there anyone here from the union? middle management, and solicitor. Okay, and I think Rick wanted to make a comment.
Well, yeah, I have a couple questions, and they're probably going to be more answered by the administration. So we all know that educating students is a collaborative effort. It's not just the teachers, it's the support staff in the room. I brought this up before. My question goes to SCAs and exactly where are we at now? How many SCAs are we down right now? How many are in the pipeline to be hired? Because I don't know if people understand this, but the role of SCAs is extremely important, not only for the educational process, but to help out the teachers in the classroom as well, because they are dealing with special needs issues and they help out in the classroom. And I want to know where we're at with our SCAs. How many are we down? How many are in the pipeline? There are some issues that I think need addressed. So I guess I'll turn this over to Dr. P or Brad. Brad, where are we at? How many are we down?
I can tell you, I know Michelle's been working on interviewing the last 2 weeks. Michelle, do you want to give us a specific number?
So currently we have 126 SEAs. Some of them, 4 of them are substitutes, and we still need about 20. We just, 2 resigned 2 weeks ago. We added 1 this past week. We interviewed 4 this past week. We recommended 3 for hire, so they have to check the references and such on those. Anytime we have people apply, we interview and we try to get them in as quickly as possible. Sometimes clearances take time for them to get clearances and then for those to get back. But we have 3 that we have coming on board if they complete everything in the process.
Well, since I have, can you stay at the mic for a minute, please? Thank you, I appreciate it. One of the issues that I've been talking to people about, and I know with IEPs, IEP compliance, how important it is. Are we sharing SCAs? For instance, I heard a story about one SCA who is currently working with 5 separate students during the day and also handling a lot of other issues like behavioral, bathroom, those kinds of things, transportation and so forth. Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do we have SCAs that are actually carrying more than 2 students in a school day?
Yes, we would have SCAs assigned based upon what's written in the child's IEP. So IEPs are individualized. Some students may have 1 hour of SCA time in their IEP. Some students may have more. So it really depends upon what's in their particular student's IEP.
Well, I know this, and one of the things is we can't really go. I'm saying, are we in risk of being out of compliance with the mandates, not only that are in the IEP, but the mandates handed down by the state about how we utilize our SCAs?
We are in compliance. At the same time, we are not as well-staffed as we would like. It's one of those things where we are constantly working to ensure we have enough personnel to meet all the needs of the students. We have met the requirements, but there are things that we need to finish off and make sure we can fully man. It's always a challenge, regardless of what year or what situation we're under, to have a fully staffed SCA population for us.
Well, and let me tell you this, and after talking to these people, they are doing incredible work, going over and above what they are doing because they do care about the kids so well. And I understand this isn't a highly paid position. I understand there are no benefits. I understand all that. These people are doing a great job. And quite frankly, I don't know how much we ever recognize SCAs or ESPs or any of it. And I would like to give a big shout out because without our SCAs, we couldn't run a school district. I'm sure everyone would agree with that. And the last meeting I brought it up and I asked, I believe you and Brad both answered my question, Dr. P, because I said, were we going to be fully staffed with SCAs? Because we were down, I think at the time, 30. And, you know, I'll have to go back and watch the past meeting, but I thought I was told that we were going to be fully staffed with SEAs by the time we got back to full face-to-face. I could be wrong on that.
You need to understand that we are constantly hiring SEAs. And we are standard, we are interviewing SEAs every week, every other week to fill positions. That has not changed. That has been that's constantly a need, and we are constantly hunting for more people to fill that need. At this point, we have enough to function, so we're staffed, but we still have holes. And the situation comes down that we will have holes, and we will have to fill and continue to fill, and it's just going to continually churn as we move through. The COVID situation has not helped. We are in dire need of bus drivers, SEAs, and other support staff, because the people who normally fill these positions also have the situation where they may have health risks, et cetera, where they don't want to put themselves in a jeopardizing position due to their health constraints. So all of those things impact the pool.
And I totally hear everything you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, and we're talking about these holes. And what I don't want to see is a black hole where students' education is compromised because we can't get SEAs to help out in the classrooms with issues. Therefore, the other students are not affected, nor the teacher or that environment. Please, could you keep me updated weekly on where we're at with the hiring? Could you also keep every once in a while, you know what, it doesn't hurt to say this, our SEAs are doing a great job. We couldn't function the school district without them as well, and all our support staff. So please keep me updated where we're at with that. If we lose any people, let me know. And I would love, I don't know if we can do this, but could we find out why these people are leaving in droves? And if we find out why they're leaving in droves, see what we can do to rectify that situation. That's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to extend condolences to the family and friends of C. Richard Schaefer, who passed away March 12th at the age of 80. Mr. Schaefer was a longtime AAHS social studies teacher and department chair. And in fact, he started at the high school in 1964 and retired at the end of the 1998 school year. He was actually the first AAHS teacher I ever had in summer school in 1987. And he remembered that he taught my parents, which kind of fascinated me. And the reason I really want to mention Mr. Schaefer is that he's the reason that many teachers my age who attended Altoona High became teachers. He was that influential. And although I didn't go into social studies, I was an English teacher. His teaching practices, his personality, and anybody who knew Dick, you know that he was a larger than life personality and just a great guy and one heck of an awesome teacher. When he retired, he went and worked at the Curve. For about 20 years, he was an usher, and most recently, I believe, worked at the handicap entrance. And he always caught me in the concourse and pulled me aside and asked me about my family. And that was tremendous, and he still remembered me all those years later. So I'd like to extend condolences, and I think I can say this on behalf of the board, to the Schaefer family and all of his extended family, all these teachers that were greatly influenced by Mr. Schaefer.
And I concur, he was a good teacher. He was my social studies teacher as well. Very, very personable.
One of the nicest guys I ever wanted to meet. And he was so proud of this district.
He'll be missed. Anyone else? Meeting adjourned.